What is up, studs, and welcome to Ask MandR, episode 371, the series where I answer your questions about LEGO or anything else. So if you have a question or topic you want covered on the next episode, drop in the comments section down below. Hit the like button while you're there. And this episode is sponsored by Whatnot, so more on them in my biggest ever announcement having to do with Whatnot later in the video. My spoiler is 4, the number 4. It's insane. First from Jim Chicken, he says, with the recent rumors of future Wolfpack troopers in 2026, do you think LEGO will put them in a battle pack or something like a Wolfpack trooper, I assume gunship there, but he says, do you think it could include Commander Wolf too? And so I haven't seen from super credible sources that we'll see Wolfpack troopers in 2026. We've seen rumors of Wolfpack troopers coming out every year for a few years now, probably, so I wouldn't take it and run, but I think any logical LEGO Star Wars fan can look at the state of things and what we've seen over the past 3, 4, 5 years, or should I say 6, 7 years? I keep doing that in videos inadvertently, and people are like, he's doing it on purpose. I'm like, I'm not. But anyway, back to the question at hand. You can tell that we're going to get Wolfpack troopers at some point in the next couple of years, whether it's this year, next year, it's going to happen. And so the first thing that comes to mind is this may be what LEGO finally needs to push the envelope on $50 battle packs. Yes, they've been waiting for the right opportunity to strike on that after the great success of the $45 battle pack. What's stopping them at this point? All right, jokes aside, it is probably good news that the 327th battle pack seems to have flopped and been a hated set by many fans. It does probably mean that we will see a reduction in LEGO's kind of overreaching idea of what a battle pack is. So I'm just double checking now, and it does look like the Coruscant Guard gunship is going to be retiring at the end of 2025, which does open the door for a Wolfpack gunship to warm shelves next year at $180 or whatever ridiculous price they put on it. But potential overpricing aside, I think it would make a lot of sense for it to be a Wolfpack gunship and not necessarily a Wolfpack battle pack. It is likely that they would do a battle pack, I would say, just given most of the clone legions we have seen over the last 5, 6 years have been in battle packs, but there are exceptions to that rule, like the Galactic Marines that are in the turbo tank, but no accompanying battle pack, and not one rumored at this point, and personally I don't expect one. It seems like a one set kind of figure there. Now I will say, if it is a battle pack, I think we don't see Commander Wolf in that battle pack. We rarely see named characters in battle packs. The one recent exception would be Vaughn, so that does leave the door open. The door is always open to anything, but I don't think it's very likely because that's not the norm, and I think the Wolfpack gunship is too good of an opportunity for them to pass up as their next Republic gunship. I just think they have to do it, so I would imagine it's going to end up being a Wolfpack gunship if it's next summer, because the other one's going to be retiring, and just you have the slot there, why not use it for that? And then if we see that next summer, potentially a battle pack in early 2027, hopefully at the lower price point. I don't want any more of these fake super battle packs that don't actually provide you the proper value for the price that they're charging. Just give us the normal battle packs. Stop trying to get cute with it, but I digress. We'll move on to the next question from Matt Knight, who says, now that you can log into Bricklink with your LEGO account, do you think it will be possible to use LEGO VIP points on Bricklink as well? Love your vids. Greetings from Belgium. Well, thanks for watching from Belgium, and I don't think so, just to be short and sweet with it, simply because the fees that Bricklink charges to sellers, as long as this is still the case, my information could be outdated, but I believe it is 3%, and the VIP points that you earn on your LEGO.com purchases are 5% or sometimes 10%, so LEGO is losing money on that deal if you are using your VIP points on Bricklink. So I don't think that is going to happen at all. I'm sure the economics are even worse because, of course, the 3% that LEGO makes on a Bricklink sale doesn't account for all of the costs that they put into like owning Bricklink and having the employees and running the web service and all of that stuff. So I am sure that that is never going to happen unless there's a massive restructuring to the fees of Bricklink, which would probably not be good for sellers on there and really change the dynamic. So I don't think that'll happen. Next from Stargazer, potentially a 2026 set leak here. He says, in the new Rebuild the Galaxy season, there is a ship called BB Wings, which is a B-Wing merged with a new buildable BB-8 design. Is it possible that this could be a hint to the 2026 set? I think hint is maybe the wrong word, but more of like a preview, or like literally just here it is, here's a leak of it more or less. It says it's based on the parts used. It does seem to be in scale with the 2024 R2, also in alignment with the leaks. I do think this can end up being our 2026 2026 BB-8 set. I think it's pretty unlikely, given that we are getting one next year, that they would have made a completely separate model for this show. You look at something like the Death Star making an appearance in the show, apparently. I didn't watch the show. I'm not going to watch the show, just to get that out of the way, but I'm aware that it does show up there. The Death Star showing up there. So there is some crossover between sets that you will see in the show and sets that you'll actually see in Lego Star Wars. Now, there are a lot of other things like the Looser Hulk thing with the AT-AT heads on it. That's not going to show up in Lego Star Wars. But this BB-8, I think pretty clearly is just reusing what we are going to see in 2026. I assume we'll have some nice printed pieces to recreate a lot of the detail versus the brick-built design of 2017. And you can see some of the inner workings, although some of that might also just be different to accommodate the minifig inside, just depending on the angle. But I mean, it looks decent, I would say. I also just looked it back up. It's rumored to have 569 pieces, and looking at that model, I can see it getting to 569 pieces, especially with an intricate interior that allows for a couple of features. You add on the idea that it will have a display plaque and the minifig, get a few more there. And so, yeah, I think it's highly likely that we do have our first preview of a 2026 set from Rebuild the Galaxy there. Gotten says, what are your thoughts on the mini planet series? Would you like to see them be brought back? Because a lot of new planets have been added since they retired. And I think it would be a nice shake-up to the microfighter mech thing. I think they're much cooler than mechs and arguably nicer than microfighters, but they're not as good a play set as microfighters, and Lego doesn't make as many sets for kids these days, so I feel like microfighters on the cheaper end of thing are kind of integral, and so replacing them with planet series sets, which I think are arguably clearly adult sets at a micro scale, would probably be bad for that part of the community, and I don't think you should get rid of microfighters for that. So if you could do it and maybe do it alongside everything else, that'd be fine, but I don't think they should bring them back just from the point of view that it would be probably a step too far into the world of making everything for adults, which they shouldn't be doing. So there's that. Maybe another reason I don't want them brought back is literally yesterday I was organizing a lot of my Lego boxes at my new house, and I had one of the Planet Series sets, and someone that was helping me was like, that looks like a dog toy. And I'm like, it does look like a dog toy. It's not a dog toy, though. They don't make Lego dog toys. That's a very big untapped market that I need to get in on, clearly with customs or something. But they don't do that. But now I will never unsee it as a dog toy. No, I think they'd be fantastic. I think they're cool little desk things, especially with the displays, the planets next to them. I just think it failed the first time, although you can look at something like MIDI Scale, which also failed the first time and has come back to be a pretty big success, clearly, for Lego Star Wars, as it's coming into its fourth year back in 2026. Like, mini Planet Series sets could continue like that and be super successful, especially with the way minifigs are these days. Like, they could very easily bring the Planet Series back and do a new Planet Series Death Star and throw the Beast Trooper or Tarkin or whoever there, and it would sell like hotcakes, and do the same thing for a lot of other things. And Lego creates this kind of insane market, and they have kind of done this, like where you do things like the Venator, and then you put out in a $13 set, and people buy it up like hotcakes because Lego made it this arbitrarily super rare thing, right? So they could do that and continue to expand their palette with the cheaper end of things. And yeah, I don't think it'll happen. I don't necessarily want it to happen. It would be cool just as like a historical fan of Lego Star Wars, but I think they could do something cooler. What that is, I don't know, but Planet Series is probably not that. Chris says, are you buying 2 of every new set so you can have a set to build / have a set for minifigs to put in your minifig display collection? Or are you buying 3? Keep minifigs sealed. Awesome video. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. No, I don't keep one sealed of everything, so I'm not buying that 3rd copy. And I obviously buy 1 copy to review and keep for my collection. And then for those that don't know, I've got this separate collection of 1 of every Lego Star Wars minifig ever. So like, that's separate from me owning everything for my personal collection, if that makes sense. I don't know. But anyway, I've owned that other collection of minifigs for over a year now, and none of the extra minifigs that I have added on since I've purchased it came from a second purchased set. I have just continued to buy the minifigs separately on Whatnot, and I just realized how great of a way to segue into this sponsor being Whatnot this is going to be. I'm buying the figures separately just because I don't want to have to like go through the trouble of opening a set, pick them out, and then sell the set, or maybe keep it and it's just going to take up more space in my house that I don't need to have space taken up with. So yeah, plus I get a ton of Whatnot credit from you guys signing up from Whatnot using my link in the description below to get a $15 credit. Like, I get credit when you guys sign up, so I use that money to just buy the figures that I need to add to that collection. Man, I couldn't think of a better way to segue into this. This is completely unintentional. So let's talk about the fact that I'm giving away 4 Death Stars on Whatnot. Wow. that's happening. Yes, I don't know if you know this. This video is sponsored by Whatnot. Whatnot is an incredible live online marketplace where you can buy and sell just about anything. Pokemon cards, Funko Pops, Labubus are the new big thing apparently, and of course Lego. And there is a great variety of Lego always available on Whatnot, be it on somebody's live stream or whether you look up the products and browse the buy it now marketplace that you can buy anything even when a seller isn't live, which is an amazing way to be able to shop as well in conjunction with the live shopping that Whatnot offers. Auctions on Whatnot start as low as $1, so you can get some incredible deals on Lego or really anything else that you're looking for. Now, Whatnot and I are partnering up for New York Comic Con next month, October 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'm going to be live on Whatnot every single day, hosting massive auctions with everything starting at $1. And on each of those live streams, I'm going to be giving away a new UCS Death Star at the end of the stream. That is 4 $1,000 Death Stars over the course of 4 amazing days on Whatnot. You are not going to want to miss it. Not only by giving away those Death Stars, I'm going to be doing tons of other giveaways during the streams. I'll be having flash sales and, like I said, dollar auctions on tons of amazing Lego Star Wars minifigs and sets. So I'll put my link in the description below. You can get a $15 credit to use on Whatnot, whether it be with me or another seller. If you do end up using it with me, I'm going to have some amazing stuff available, including the upgrade kits for the newer clone troopers and much more. So guys, you're not going to want to miss it. New York Comic Con, October 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The live streams are on Whatnot, so just hit the bookmark button so that it will remind you when my stream goes live on each of those days, and you can have your opportunity to get a UCS Death Star for free. Anyway, thank you very much to Whatnot for sponsoring this video and giving me the incredible opportunity to give away 4 UCS Death Stars. That's going to be fun to buy too. I'm going to own 5 Death Stars at once. Anyway, link in the description below. Don't miss out on what I think is probably my biggest event ever on Whatnot. Next, from Sin Killer, he says, I haven't seen any Star Wars Brickheads in the upcoming set announcements. Do you think we'll get a Brickheads in 2026? And if so, who? Maybe someone from the Mandalorian movie or the next season of Ahsoka. I think the Mandalorian movie makes a lot of sense. Ahsoka could make a lot of sense. And I also saw a comment on my video unrelated to yours. I was like, what about some Star Wars Rebels Brickheads? Apparently there were like Rebels Brickheads at the end of Rebuild the Galaxy maybe, and that's what gave that guy the idea. But like a Star Wars Rebels crew Brickhead set would also be incredible. I think those 3 are my highest potentials if they were going to do one of those multi-packs again. I gotta get a Thrawn Brickheads. Ooh, that would be fire. So I'm gonna lean towards Ahsoka. Like if I had to choose, I'd pick Ahsoka, but the Mandalorian movie I think would be the best thing for them to do. So I think that's what it's going to end up being, but my personal soft spot's going to be the Ahsoka show just so I could get Thrawn. Next, from Dog, he says, do you think there's any chance that the MIDI AT-AT rumored for next year is an AT-ACT for the 10th anniversary of Rogue One? Any chance? The smallest of chances, but I would be very surprised if whoever leaked the MIDI AT-AT for next year didn't see the giant orange block on the side of the AT-AT, or if they were like looking at a parts list, didn't see a bunch of orange parts and assumed it was an AT-ACT and not an AT-AT. I would be shocked if it was anything but a standard Hoth AT-AT, or technically Endor, I guess, because we see them there too in the original trilogy. Next, from Lego Dinosaur, he says, if they don't downscale the UCS Super Star Destroyer and upscale it instead, could this be the second $1,000 set? And much like the AT-AT, the slimmest of slim chances of that happening, and I would personally say 0 chance, but you can never rule anything out, of course, until Lego themselves announces something. But for reference, the last set was $400. I think that would be about $600 in today's money. I didn't look it up, but I'm just assuming. And so to see that set get up to $1,000, they would have to put a lot in there that, frankly, I don't think they need to or would, because the set was already 3.5 feet long or something. There's no reason to make it any bigger. I don't see why they would do that. I just don't. But I think the most likely outcome would be that they would keep it the same size, and especially because the MIDI scale version exists at $70. Like, you can't go too small. You can't make it $200 or $250. You know, it's got to be a $400, $500, $600, $700 set, like I said last week. That's where I'm going to land on that. I would be shocked if we got another $1,000 set at any point in the next couple of years. Victor Echo says, are there any YouTubers you would consider colleagues? I think no. Not certainly in the traditional sense. There are YouTubers I would consider friends, great friends, people that I collaborate with, but colleagues, it certainly feels odd to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a normal job where you would have colleagues, so I don't think so. I would be really curious to see what other people say about something like this, but I don't think so. I don't look at it that way. There are certainly people I would see as competition, but that itself is only limited to like the Lego sphere. Outside of that, not at all. So it's an interesting life and job and thing, right? Yeah, it's a very interesting thing to think about. And I think everyone that does YouTube, at least like professionally or as a full-time job, might have a different answer and might view it differently. And so I think you would get very different answers from very different people. Certainly not something I think about, but when I do think about it, because you asked a great question, I love it. I don't think so. I don't know, like there's people I would reach out to and ask questions if I needed help, and they would help me and vice versa. So maybe like that, maybe. It's weird because I don't see anybody on a day-to-day basis outside of the people that do work for me directly, Jared and Austin. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I love the question though. Seriously, this is one of the best questions I've had like in months. Fantastic. Mushroom says, should Lego start remaking more sets like games do remasters? I feel like the 20 years anniversary sets were very unique and fun. I wouldn't be complaining if they did that more often. And so I read your question and thought of something different in this way of the way you're saying remaster, because the 20th anniversary sets just fundamentally are no different than any other remake that we get normally of sets. They just happen to have the branding. Like we've gotten other Slave 1 remakes. Like any Slave 1 that's come out after the first one could have had that same branding and been like the anniversary version that's the remaster. But the way I perceived like what you say with remaster is a set like the Death Star Final Duel from 2015 and then 2020, where it's effectively the same set with a few small tweaks, or perhaps the 2008 and 2016 Death Stars, where again, it's effectively the same set with a few small tweaks. So I think there's a lot of cases like that where I think fans would love Lego to stay very true to a recent previous version of a set, but Lego maybe doesn't make a few of the pieces or does want to change and fix a few small things on the build, and so they can update the build, change the build a little bit, but largely stay true to the original. And I think the Death Stars and Death Star Final Duel sets are great examples of something like that. And it was what I was hoping kind of for a while back in like the 2020s, early 2020s at least, we would see with like Palpatine's arrest. A good example of something coming up that could work like that would be the Razor Crest. Obviously, I think they'll just overhaul the Razor Crest design because it's going to be due for that. But that could be something they do as kind of a remaster instead of a remake. I don't know, maybe I'm mixing up what the words would mean. But either way, like the type of re-release, but it's slightly different for the builds could be a very cool thing to see them do more of. And there, like I said, there's a lot of potential for that. Now, you can't go back too far. You can't go to 2009 Dropship with AT-OT or 2007 MTT or 2010 Turbo Tank. Like there is a too far back for that sort of thing, and almost to a fault because of the way it is. Like you get to a point where we are now where we've had a lot of not so great things for 5, 6, 7 years. I did it again. I didn't mean to. Sorry.
You've done it again.
Like what would you want basically one for one from the last 7 years released now? Like I look at smaller sets like Anakin Starfighter, perhaps, sure. But like, I don't know. I try to think a bit bigger with things like that just because it's usually more important, larger sets that you would want. And there's not a lot. There is not a lot, I would say. So that being said, I am in your boat. I love the way they did the 20th anniversary sets, and I would love to see more remaster sets like that. Maybe a different concept for that would be like if they remastered the 2005 Turbo Tank. So instead of just, okay, we made a new Turbo Tank, it's like we made a new Turbo Tank, except it has the same turret, and it has the same speeder, and it has the same set of figures, just all updated and more lovely. And we've kept true to that 2005 color scheme that was a little off, in a few ways, but we kept true to it. That would be a cool, tasteful way to do it. There are ways to do things like that that could work, and I think that's a good example there that I just came up with. So, yeah, I think there's a few different ways you could approach something like that. Anyway, next from Philip, he says, Ryan, now that you're getting a new house and you're getting more space, would you ever get back into big scale mock building? And this is a really tough one for me. I think for about a decade at this point, I've had a pretty obvious bad stint with building mocks where I can start, but I can't finish, and I enjoy it when I am doing it, but I can never make myself actually work on it for a prolonged period of time. And so the simple answer, and what history would tell me, is probably not. Like, it's probably just never going to happen. It's not the type of thing that I got into Lego for. It's not what I have enjoyed about Lego for the most part for the last 20 years of my life. Plus, now. Well, that's quite scary. Like, my enjoyment in large part has come from the sets that they release and not like what I can build out of random parts that I own. Like, and that's just also not a skill that I have. So here's what's happened, right? Over the weekend, I've been working really diligently to finish moving in as much as I can because I want to get this old house rented out because it's costing me a lot of money, opportunity cost to not do that. And so here's a before picture. My living room at the new house was an absolute disaster, and I basically spent my entire Saturday cleaning that up, sorting that out, organizing. And what's left down there is a giant pile of parts. What is also left upstairs at this old house are 6 white IKEA drawer things that are full of parts. And they don't have a spot at the new house. The new loft, like my old loft, I had Lego there. My new loft, I want to use as like a game space, like a fun space to like live in. I'm like, I want to have stuff like that. And so the trade-off would be that I no longer have a mock building area. Part of me thinks I can take these pieces and move them into our new office space, which is admittedly small to do mock building in, so I don't think I would do mock building there, but it would at least give me a place to store the parts until maybe a couple years from now we get a bigger office space and I do that. But mock building continues to be on my back burner. Like, I was talking to someone as I was doing it over the weekend, and I was like, I'm 20% of the way there to selling all of my parts and just saying, I'm good. I'm going to focus on what I've done very well for a long time and just get rid of this thing that's weighing on me that I don't love as much as I love this other stuff. But I don't want to do that because I'm holding on to the idea that, like, I think it would be so cool if I had that ability to build really cool big Star Wars mocks. Like, I love seeing what people make. It's one of the most fun things about being a Lego fan is like mocks, right? So I hold on to that hope. I'm still holding on.
You're still holding on!
It's not urgent. It's not urgent to get back into. So maybe someday, but I'm closer to selling all of my pieces than I am to using them. But I still think I'll come around to it someday. Lamphead says, did your parents support your passion for Lego? Because the more sets I get, the more my mom is getting frustrated with what I value. It just makes me wonder how you started to get a huge collection. And in short, yes, my parents absolutely supported my passion for Lego. I started collecting back in 2002 when I was 5 years old, got the Twin Pod Cloud Car, got a few more sets after that, and then I went big in 2005 because Revenge of the Sith was just that good. And to make my situation a bit different than yours, I started making money with my Lego stuff and YouTube back in 2011. I would make $50 a month, $2, $3 a day, like not life-changing money, but to 12, 13-year-old me, it was certainly nice. And I think my parents saw something like that and probably thought it was very good for me to have in my life. And so while unfortunately I only get a couple of sentences from you, I don't know the entirety of your situation, how old you are, there's different factors I would say, but I would say that like just showing your parents that it matters to you personally, will help them come around to it. Like, I never really felt like my parents were opposed to it, perhaps, but I think the best thing you can do is enjoy it, show your mom that you enjoy it, and not to be, I don't know your situation, but not be hostile about it or something, like just enjoy your Lego stuff. Don't be hoarding it, all over the house where it's not supposed to be, try to stay within your boundaries there. And that would probably help as well. The other thing is it's hard to tell, like, whether you mean by value, like monetarily or like literally like, yeah, I really enjoy this thing. I value having it in my life. Like it's fun for me and it's really an escape. A lot of people see Lego as that, as their hobby. Like it's an escape from the real world for them or like video games, right? So it's hard to see there. But like for my parents, like we'd be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be your college fund. And so when you go away to college, you'll sell it all and it'll pay for your college. And like literally by the time I was ready to go to college, I probably could have sold it all and paid for a good bit of college, right? I ended up going to community college for like 2.5 years anyway, and then dropping out because YouTube worked out. That was great. But yeah, perhaps like maybe throwing some hints your mom's way that it could be a college fund, depending on how old you are someday. It could be a college fund and work out because it can be a good investment and it can teach you like how to take care of things. And, maybe throwing some hints out there like that wouldn't hurt. But ultimately, I just think enjoying it and showing your parents that you have that passion for it helps. I think maybe not focusing too much on the I just want to accumulate and have big collection side of it. Because part of it for me, certainly as a younger person, was that, I guess. Like I enjoyed collecting as much as I could afford at the time. But also just like taking care of it and like keeping it displayed nicely was a huge thing of mine. I loved that. Like I dusted them consistently. And that's why I have been driven to get cases now. So I never have to dust again because I've done my time. But I just be passionate about it. Show your parents you're passionate about it and that it matters to you and that you value it, like literally value it, not monetarily, but like you like having it in your life. And I think that will go a long way. That is it for this episode of Ask MandR. I guess I don't have any more questions. So thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to check out this video sponsor, Whatnot. Link in the description below. I'm giving away 4 UCS Death Stars. If you haven't signed up for Whatnot yet, link in the description below. What are you waiting for? Be at those streams October 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode next Tuesday. Robinhood. What do we got? Snapchat is up 5.5%. Huge money moves. See you later.